Good afternoon, everybody, and welcome to another edition of the Indy's Trusted Servant Show on InspireSmall.biz. Every Monday at 3 o'clock, a new episode of Indy's Trusted Servant goes up on Indy's InspireSmall.biz/Indy's Trusted Servant. What's Indy's Trusted Servant? Well, that's me, Danny O'Malley. I'm Indy's Trusted Servant. I do customer service training and keynote speaking about customer service and organizational culture and what that has to do with customer service. I learned that from the hand of the master, my late father, Joe O'Malley, back in the O'Malley Food Markets days, and really all the way back to the time I was 9 years old when he was working for other grocery companies. If you're interested in my customer service training and keynoting, give me a call at 317-413-9062. What's the Indy's Trusted Servant Show? I like to describe it as lively local small biz and community talk where you can feel the pulse of Indy. And today's guest is my friend and client and my mortgage guy, Albert Gonzalez of Teachers Credit Union. And Albert, welcome. You did the radio show back in the day a couple of times. Welcome to the Indy's Trusted Servant Show on InspireSmall.biz.
Danny, thank you for having me, and this is such an honor to be here again with you and sharing some insights about our community and a little history behind TCU and our connection and what we're trying to accomplish, helping families and members along the way. So thank you for having me.
Well, it's great to have you. We're going to talk globally about the whole housing industry as it is now, because people are always really interested in that. Tell our viewers, and I finally used to saying viewers instead of listeners.
Yes.
It took me a few weeks.
Nice job.
But tell our viewers a little bit about Albert before he got to Teachers Credit Union.
So as you and I go back fairly long way, you've been here for a lot of these relationships. I've been in mortgage lending and banking for about 25 years, going on my 26 years, and I've had several institutional affiliations. Started off in a mortgage broker scenario where we did lots of refinances and investment property purchases. That was way back in 1996. And of course, made it to Naples, Florida. I worked for a wholesaler there where I was actually selling my mortgage products to mortgage brokers, which was what I used to be, and then kind of transitioned into connecting with banks that offer residential mortgages directly to the public. So it's been a great ride. We've seen a lot of ups and downs in that time frame. Of course, the crash, if you will, of 2008. And prior to that, we had really aggressive mortgage products. If you've ever seen The Big Short, it's kind of funny but it does have some truth to it on the way lending was back there, so lax compared to today's environment.
So tell the folks about Albert himself. I know you're an Indianapolis guy.
Yes.
I know you worked for a company that sold produce to us back in the day.
That's right.
You went to North Central High School.
I went to Lawrence North High School, born and raised in Marion, Indiana, and then mom and dad split, so was going back and forth from Marion to Indy, and so graduated from Lawrence North, and then went to Vincennes University, stayed in state for that schooling, and studied there for a couple years. And in the summer of 1987, believe it or not, my mother was working for Chiquita Brand International.
Oh, I didn't know that.
And this was the affiliation to Indianapolis Fruit, the segue to Indy Fruit. And I got to give a shout out to Dan Casaro, Joe Casaro, Chris, and Mike Mascari.
Good boys.
Great guys, great, good Catholic boys, right?
You betcha.
So my mom was working for Chiquita Brand International, and it was the summer after I finished my last year at Vincennes, and I wasn't really working. I was kind of bumming around the house, and she said I should go talk to Joe and Danny and see about starting to load trucks over at Indy Fruit. And so they taught me the rough way, which I thought I'd get an office job here. I'm a college, educated and all this. I started loading trucks with a two-wheeler and running in and out of their refrigerators over off of Mass Avenue. How I got to be familiar with the O'Malley's grocery store chain was one of our favorite and known for better service. Not to just say that on your show, but they always offered what it appeared better service to their clients.
And quality.
Quality. So it was fun to work. So I used to take your produce orders at night and dispatch your trucks for the morning produce deliveries. And that was prior to Danny and I knowing each other, but that was fun. And then, I bounced around between a couple of produce companies in between trying to, improve and do all that. But then finally connected with the guy that hired me to do mortgages, and it's been a fun ride ever since. Yeah.
So Teachers Credit Union, tell us a little bit about their history, and then we'll get into the whole housing market stuff and some of the services and so forth that you guys have.
Absolutely, and I can speak to mortgage on that, but Teachers Credit Union, we just celebrated our 90th year in existence back in October of 2021. And it was started by a bunch of teachers that wanted to help teachers. So if you think about the time frame, we're talking about 1931, where there was a very tumultuous financial instability.
The Depression.
Yeah, exactly. And so there was a lot of instability there. So they were really I think the effort was, and I can't speak for those folks, but it appears that they started to try to provide some sort of financial stability. And they started with each of them donating to money in a shoebox. And it's what started out as a committee meeting turned into what it is today. It's a remarkable story, and you can read the whole breakdown, and we have pamphlets on it. But it's been a great affiliation for me because of the culture that Teachers Credit Union offers to not just its members, because we are member centric. So when you bank with us, when you use any financial products that we offer, it's required for you to be a member of Teachers Credit Union, and most credit unions are like that. But it's a very nominal deposit, and so not over the top or anything like that. But once you're a member, we can offer these products to you. And so just the culture that Teachers Credit Union offers, the products and services, and really our process. I can't get into too much detail because there's some hindrances with compliance, but I can say it's by far been the best lending affiliation I've had in my 26-year career. Just from a selfish perspective, from a loan application starting point is A to closing is Z. Everything in between is better than anywhere I've ever been.
So I take it that mortgage was not part of the original TCU 90 years ago. You know how long they've been in the mortgage business?
So the mortgage program, and I'm glad you said that, yes, it really just started getting aggressive about 3 years ago.
Okay.
In mortgage. And then since then we started up a very aggressive construction to perm program where we actually finance the build, and we'll get into that I think a little bit later. But so the mortgage division is fairly new, and specifically the person that hired me, Ryan Woodruff. I'd be remiss if I didn't mention Ryan's name. He is our VP in charge of mortgage.
And I met him that night at the
meet and greet.
Yeah.
And just a great guy, has a great vision. We have some history together, and he really has built a great team around not just me, but all the originators with regard to ops, with regard to compliance. As you know, we're very compliance driven, and with regard to our marketing and our community awareness and presence. We are getting ready to open up our new TCU location on Carmel Drive.
Yeah, we didn't want to forget that.
No, so
the
old Steak and Shake on Carmel Drive will now be a Teachers Credit Union facility for your convenience, right off of Keystone and Carmel Drive, right there beside the old landmark, the McDonald's right there.
That's right.
That we've all known for years.
Across the street from McDonald's, and that Steak and Shake, I believe it's been closed maybe 3 years. It was pre-pandemic.
Yes.
And everybody in Carmel has been going, what are they going to do with that? What are they going to do with that?
Right.
And I think that's a great use for the site. So the mortgage business, that's what you do. You generate mortgages.
I do.
Tell us what sets Teachers Credit Union apart. Give me 3 or 4 things that you think might be things that somebody that's looking for a new home or to sell a home and needs mortgage help might be interested in.
So great question. And yes, we do have lots of amenities we can offer, and we get into more detail when we get connected to someone. But I think it's the culture first and foremost. The culture that's been created that is really, again, member-centric. You're going to hear me say that a lot. We are really most concerned with the member having a smooth, great experience, transactional experience with us and the rest of our departments, which it all starts there. And then they've built a team of local underwriters, local processors. We're all Indiana-based. Our team is entirely in Indiana, headquartered in South Bend. As I mentioned, our new branch coming up on Carmel Drive. And then there's more community kind of contributions, if you will. We own the naming rights for the White River State Park amphitheater. It's called TCU Amphitheater.
Oh, across from the
Across from the Indians.
yeah, right
Field.
across from the Indians.
That's
yeah,
right.
Okay.
So the community involvement, the investment into the community, I think sets us apart from a lot of your bigger name national maybe banks. But just that attention to detail. Every one of my team members, which isn't a 30-person list long. It's only 2 or 3 folks touch your loan when you're working with me and my team. So I think that adds to the better experience. Your local appraisers, local underwriters, and we are truly invested in the community. As I mentioned, we try to just provide that smooth transactional experience.
And just as an aside to the community part of it, I met your Ryan at an event you guys had back, well, I guess it was in December, and you were gathering toys for Tots with the Marines, right?
That's right. Yeah.
Tell us about that one.
So we've been doing this through, thank you, because I would have forgot about these associations that have to be mentioned. We have been doing this. This was, our 13th year doing the Toys for Tots event, partnered up in conjunction with the Indiana Mortgage Bankers Association. Hats off to Al Thorpe out there. He's our executive director for the association. I've been on the board for a better part of 10 years and just been affiliated with the association. They do a great job. It's a once-a-year event. We usually host it at Prime 47 at Clay Terrace. We try to collect as many toys as we can for a single night event, and then we try to raise some funds for Toys for Tots. Again, it's a 13-year partnership that we just have a blast doing it, and Teachers Credit Union certainly jumped on the bandwagon and was tremendously helpful in making that event and contributing to it as well.
Yeah, more community involvement. So talk about what you were talking about, how smooth you guys try to make it. What's the typical turnaround on a mortgage for you versus, say, a bigger shop?
We strive to get our mortgages done inside of 30 days. That's a good industry benchmark, and consistently we're hitting underneath that mark. Each scenario is unique in its own experience, but we very rarely have a situation where we go beyond 30 days. So A to Z, application to closing, should be inside of 30 days. Great question.
And you, as a mortgage broker, you got to be connected with banks. You got to be connected with home builders. Mm-hmm. What else?
So I'm a mortgage banker because I work for the actual bank. A mortgage broker would go out and solicit your loan to several different banks. So mortgage banker, I just have one, a certain set of products that TCU offers. But you're talking about my referral sources,
exactly,
and my kind of inner circle, if you will.
Yeah.
So very heavily involved with the Builders Association, and I got to give a shout out to Steve Lanes there. Been on the board for going on 4 years now, and those relationships that have been introduced to me, and we've been able to cultivate, along with our aggressive construction to perm program at TCU. We have been introduced to a lot of the high-end custom builders in town, and we've got great relationships with all of them. In fact, if you're probably going to get the invitation to, but we're going to have a launch party on March 10th. We're going to be featured on the cover of Haven magazine.
You mean for the new
TCU
in Carmel? Yeah.
Yes,
okay,
yeah, for
cool.
that, and we're kind of highlighting that as well. So more to come on that. But the Builders Association of Greater Indianapolis, where we put on Home-A-Rama and a lot of home showcases. We've got Indy-Rama going on this year as well, and they're very involved in the community as well as the mortgage bankers. And so those are two great associations that we're affiliated to. But I'd be remiss if I didn't mention MyBor as well. And hats off to Shelly Specchio, whom all three actually do a forecast, a market forecast for the year to come. So yeah, we just
before we get too much into the jargon. MyBor is Metropolitan Indianapolis Board of Realtors, right?
That's right.
And you said something to Perm, construction to perm.
Construction to perm.
Explain exactly what that means for the uninitiated.
Yeah, sorry, I'm a little nervous, so I'm probably speaking a little faster.
You got the typical jargon, right?
Yeah. Well, it's very appropriate for the conversation. A construction to perm loan it kind of suggests just that versus financing a home that's already in existence. We would actually finance the construction of the home, and so we would do draws throughout the progress of the build. And the client or consumer, or in our case, our member, only pays interest only for what's been dispersed to the builder, and it's progressed throughout the build of the home. That process takes anywhere from 6 months to 12 months, and it's a one-time close on the front side of the transaction. So we're actually financing the construction of the home.
Along those lines with construction, well, before I ask you that, let me ask you this. What percentage of the mortgages you put out are already existing homes versus construction loans?
I think it's a good mix for TCU in particular because we have different specialists that kind of specialize in different categories with regard to existing home purchases or construction. In my case, it's probably 80% new construction, 20% refinance and purchase. I think as TCU, we have a better balance. Like I bet it's 25 to 30% refinance, probably 30 to 40% in the purchase market, and then the balance being new construction.
Okay, so
yeah, it's a pretty good balance for what we offer.
That's cool. Here's a scenario for you. Well, let me give you the scenario. One of my buddies was telling me his daughter and her husband just sold their home in Noblesville and moved to Fishers. Mm-hmm. And this is a lead in to what's the home market like right now.
Right.
And they had a realtor, and the realtor said, we're going to do open houses Friday, Saturday, and Sunday. And we're going to close it out Sunday. They had 39 people come through the house, 8 people put in offers, and they got $30,000 more than they ever expected to by Sunday night or Monday morning. Is that a pretty typical of the way it's going?
Very typical, and it used to be just to certain price points, but now it's kind of all over the board. It's because of our lack of inventory, and that's no secret to you or me. We hear that all the time. It's always plastered out there. There's just not enough homes on the market with current inventory to satisfy the demand that's coming in. That's why our new construction category has been, for everybody, has been just going nuts because we can't build the houses fast enough, it seems. So, but yes, that's a typical experience for an existing home purchase or listing or purchasing the home. It's pretty crazy. It's very competitive. And the only advice that I could say is don't look for the perfect home out there, because if you do that, you're not going to wind up finding
probably not going to find it right away.
That's right. You're going to need to do some upgrades. A lot of people are doing them without inspections now too, which is a little scary, but just be careful out there. Obviously, I recommend inspections. And as long
I thought
as
they were mandatory. They're not?
They're not mandatory.
Really?
Yeah.
Oh, son of a gun. I did not know that.
Yeah.
This is really interesting for everybody, and and the home market is a good barometer of the rest of the economy, right? Mm-hmm. So we're short on cars, we're short on houses, we're short on stuff in the grocery store, we're short on a lot of stuff. I know you're not right at the pressure point here, but do you see the supplies of wood and all of the supplies to build houses? Do you see that getting better yet, and what do you think? How long you think it'll take before it gets back to normal?
There's a lot of different industry perspectives on trying to figure out where the cost is going to be. It's kind of like predicting where the rates are going to be. We had a very volatile week in interest rates last week, specifically. That I could speak in better and more intelligently about. However, on the cost of materials, it's been skyrocketing for the better part of the last 18 months.
Right.
We just got another lumber increase of 15% last week, what I was told. And so I don't think it's going to calm down anytime soon because of the demand. However, I don't think we're going to see such increases because they were pretty drastic increases. So I think hopefully we're leveling off now, and we should see some relief on the cost, hopefully.
You think fairly soon?
I think in the spring, I think things will start to calm down a little bit. I hope at least. Again, can't guarantee anything, but I would say from what I'm hearing, there's not going to be the drastic increases, but I bet there'll be some subtle increases.
So does it amaze you how many people are looking to buy homes with the economy the way it is and the affordability of the homes, but the demand is still up there? So that doesn't always make sense when I think about that.
Well, affordability and during a market forecast, I brought this to the audience's attention when my mother owned a home here in Castleton, on the northeast corner of Indianapolis, near Lawrence North High School.
There you go.
Her interest rate was 14.99% on her first mortgage. On her second mortgage, to get her to 100% financing, was 19.99. So when you talk about affordability, let's put things into perspective. We're teetering in between 3.5% and 4% in today's market. That speaks to affordability. That to me still screams, I can afford a lot more house than what I could have if I were at 14.99%.
Absolutely.
So that leads into some of the demand, I think. So that plus I think the cooped up, there's a big algorithm out there that some expert knows this better than I, but I think because we spent so much time quarantined in our own homes, I think that led to some of the activity. Like either A, I'm going to redo this house to where I exactly like it, or I'm going to build a wall of China between me and my wife's room side of the room, or I'm going to go out and build or buy a new
or
house.
a huge fence between me and the neighbor.
Right, exactly.
Whatever.
Yeah, get a new dog, whatever the case may be. I think that pinned up some of the demand as well, but affordability goes to that. The demand, I think, is some of that. And plus, there's just so many more people that are better educated and more qualified. I think that has a big piece to do with it as well. We're raising our kids to be more financial savvy and ready for these big decisions. And you have more support groups that are educating these folks. So I think a lot of that has to do with it.
Well, you mentioned the possibility that somebody might stay in their house but remodel it.
That's right.
And do you do a lot of business, a lot of loans along those lines?
We do as a company, yes. There's renovation and some of them that I don't see. So just so you know, I do the forward mortgages, as we like to say, either purchasing, new construction, or refinance. And there's different categories there. Now, there's also like home equity lines of credit that we offer. A lot of people use those that have equity in their homes.
And then they build onto the home.
And then they'll add a deck or build an outdoor kitchen or finish the basement or get the new kitchen that mom always wanted, or maybe redo your master bedroom. So there's all kinds of products that we provide for that.
And you sense that that's happening a lot more than in normal times.
They're achieving record numbers and great success in all those categories. So yeah, I think a lot of that has to do with level of inventory, ton of demand, and then just the need to have to change your environment. So if you can't find a new house out there, you're going to make your own house probably better suited for your needs.
In fact, on a personal level, I visited you at your home several weeks ago, and you were doing some remodeling of your own, right?
Well, Danny, my wife's an interior designer, Jennifer Gonzalez at Everything Home, just so you know.
Oh, there you go. There you go.
And she that's a design arm for Old Town Design Group. But yes, so she has a degree in interior design, as you remember seeing our house. I mean, she's got it
beautiful.
She's got it laid out pretty good, and there's always continual projects. I don't think I'm much different than anybody else, specifically married to an interior designer.
Well, I don't know. An interior designer might tend to do a little more than normal. Now, my wife is not an interior designer, but she has the same desires as an interior designer.
You just recently went through a pretty major upgrade, and I've seen your house too. Yeah, looking beautiful.
Absolutely, absolutely. So, what are the biggest challenges? Now, you've been at TCU less than a year?
Yeah, June 14th, 2021 was my hire on date. And
so what have been your biggest challenges?
For the transition? Really, the biggest challenge, I think, was just, and not that this was challenging at all, it really, their culture was just so kind of plug and play, and really the biggest challenge was just the onboarding part. I think with any institution, you have to go through a lot of paperwork and do, that was probably, and that only took a week and a half or so. So really, it's been pretty smooth,
pretty seamless for
pretty
you.
Seamless. We were able to maintain a lot of our team, and so I've been very blessed to be surrounded by some amazingly well qualified mortgage experts that make that member centric experience possible on every single transaction. So there really wasn't that big a transition, kind of any headaches.
Well, I'd be remiss if I didn't give you a chance to spew out some contact information in case anybody's looking for a mortgage. So give us whatever you want to, website or phone number or whatever you want to share.
I'm a little like you, where I do have a website, and I direct people via my email, but when I'm asking
give us your email.
So the email is adgonzalez, Gonzalez, at tcunet.com. And then Albert Gonzalez with Teachers Credit Union. My cell phone is the best way to get me, either text or actually pick up the phone and call. I still appreciate that. It's 317-605-3383. The reason I say that is, yes, we have online capability to do your application online. I feel it's a little less personal than I would like to. I kind of interview my clients over the phone, and it takes 20, 30 minutes. I'll be able to fill that paperwork out for you quicker.
Right then and there.
Right then and then, and we can get questions answered. It's just a big commitment. The millennials, God bless them, they love to just go online, log in, and be done. I find that people of our generation appreciate a phone call.
And I really appreciate that, as you know about my customer service background and all of that. But I really appreciate having the choice.
Yes.
I can go online and do this, or
Absolutely.
Albert will walk me through it.
Yes.
And I would assume that you would probably say, I don't want to put words in your mouth, but that's another advantage of dealing with you and Teachers Credit Union.
It is.
It gives you a choice.
We're big enough to give you the good, lower fees, the rates right where market is. But we're small enough to where we want to have conversations with you. We want financial literacy to be offered. We want you to have a great experience, and a lot of that's with a phone call.
And you want to do business with them when they upgrade the next time.
That's right.
All right, or downsize.
Or we have a great auto loan program. I'd be remiss if I didn't mention our auto loan.
Yeah.
A lot of people that I talk to say we're already members of TCU because we've had 2 car loans or whatever. It's a great program.
Who knew?
Exactly. And then our home equity line of credits, we have a great credit card program. Truly, we obviously want to try to wrap as much services for you to make it easy for you. We really want things to be easy for you and let us worry about, because finances are stressful for people. So we try to provide the advice as much or as little as you're seeking. But really our goal is to just make that experience, whatever products you choose with TCU, for that experience to go. And if there's anything that you have a question about, you can get us. You can get us on the phone. You can get us via email. So we're there at your disposal.
Give them that phone number one more time.
Albert Gonzalez, Teachers Credit Union. It's 317-605-3383. And thank you for letting me share that.
Well, Albert, it's been great having you on the show. It's good to sit down and talk to you. We'll meet again next week. Albert and I meet once a month and just more or less chew the fat, right?
We do. Yeah, catch up.
But we give each other ideas and so forth. And I would heartily recommend Albert and Teachers Credit Union if you're looking for a mortgage. It's great to have you back. And I want to thank Ryan Henry for making this show available. Again, you can go to any prior episode of Indy's Trusted Servant show by going to inspiresmall.biz/Indy's Trusted Servant. So if you miss Albert's interview, go back to that website and you'll find it. And we'll see you all next week.